They're some of the rarest things on Earth. Only 5 of them have ever been found. If you were to come across one, it would fetch a price per ounce 10 times greater than the going rate for gold. They're freshly fallen Martian meteorites, chunks of the planet Mars that got blasted into space through some sort of collision and eventually landed on Earth as fiery meteorites. Even rarer than a Martian meteorite is the chemical element astatine. If you gathered up all the astatine on the Earth, it would barely fill a teaspoon. The rarest feat in professional team sports is probably the three-peat, winning the league championship 3 years running. The last team to pull it off was the Los Angeles Lakers with its NBA championships in 2000, 2001, and 2002. There has never been a three-peat in the NFL. Because of salary caps and free agency, it may never happen in any major sport again. But rarer than a Martian meteorite, astatine, or a Major League three-peat is an adult who's willing to change his mind about something of importance. I'm talking about a person willing to look at new evidence or to consider a new vantage point, rather than reflexively defending what he has always believed to be true. It goes without saying that we should be principled, but we also must understand the difference between principle and arrogance. I have seen elected officials dig in on half-baked positions that fit the narrative they've adopted, refusing to consider a better idea when one emerges. That's not principle. That's arrogance. Blacks and whites, liberals and conservatives, atheists and people of faith, like belligerent panelists on a contentious cable news show, are all talking past one another, more intent on scoring points than on connecting, shouting to be heard, but never listening, seeking validation and vindication rather than truth and light. I have identified 3 causes of this narrow-mindedness. Let's look at them one by one, and then we'll see what we can do about it. Number 1. Confirmation bias. I was sitting in the green room of a cable news network, waiting to go on the air, joined by a couple of my fellow panelists. It was the final year of George W. Bush's presidency, his approval ratings in the tank, much of the nation suffering from a serious case of Bush fatigue, and I was the conservative Republican for this discussion. I was chatting with one of the other panelists, a friend and liberal journalist, when he suddenly blurted out, "I hate that man." "Who?" I replied. "George Bush. I just hate him." Before I could respond, he moved on to another topic, leaving me startled by the intensity of his antipathy. A few years later, well into the second term of Barack Obama's presidency, I found myself in an airport with the same gentleman talking about the groundswell of opposition across the country to the president's radical initiative to overhaul the country's healthcare system. This time he said to me, "I don't understand why people hate Obama so much. He's our president. Why do they hate him so much? It's wrong." Stunned, I thought. Aren't you the same guy who several years ago was telling me how much he hated the previous occupant of the White House? This man wasn't a hypocrite. He was genuinely blind to the contradiction. He was a victim of confirmation bias. Briefly mentioned in Chapter 1, confirmation bias is the tendency to search for, interpret, favor, and recall information in a way that confirms one's beliefs. It's sometimes called my side bias, because it reassures us that our side of a question is right, even when we're wrong. Confirmation bias is a special lens for our eyes and a filter for our memory. Let's say, for example, that you've developed a belief that young black men are dangerous and prone to criminal activity.